Good morning. Happy Saturday. It's Mindy, and I am going to do sugar cookies today. I don't think I'm going to get around to, well, I know I won't on this video. I won't get around to decorating them. I might try to do that in a second video, probably not later today, maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. As you can see, it's well thought out. But anyway, I thought I would show you the basic sugar cookie recipe I use. These are for the cutouts that are very popular around Christmas time. And then we'll walk through the recipe together and I'll show you kind of how I get to the end of the cookie part so that they are ready to be decorated. And like I said, we'll talk about that another time because there's a couple different frostings you can use depending on what you, how you are planning to serve or just eat your sugar cookies. So I have a batch in the oven right now, probably another 3 or 4 minutes on those. And then while that dishwasher wanted to start up on me, while those are gonna finish baking, I will go ahead and give you the rundown of the recipe. So let's start there. This recipe originally called for Crisco. This is my grandma's recipe for starters. I have been making this since I was probably 8 or 9, whenever my mom first turned me loose in the kitchen and said, sure, go ahead. So I've been using this recipe a really, really long time. And I used to use Crisco. That was, again, it's one of those like 1950s use Crisco for everything kind of a recipe. As an adult, I have swapped out the Crisco for butter, and it bakes just fine. It tastes better, I think. But the butter spreads a little more as the cookies bake. So sometimes when you take your cookies out and they're not quite the same shape or they're a little bit misshapen from the original cookie cutter you had, that's because of the butter. So I'll show you a way that I fix that when these come out of the oven. So anyway, let's start with our cup of softened butter, just 2 sticks. 1 cup of sugar, another little modification I made. The original recipe calls for 1 1/3 cups. I just put just 1 cup of sugar in and it doesn't affect the taste at all. So 2 sticks of butter, 1 cup of sugar, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You are going to cream all that together in your mixer for a couple of minutes, get that all combined. Then you will add 2 2/3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon baking soda, and 1 teaspoon baking powder. Add the dry ingredients, continue to mix. It'll form a soft dough, at which point you will want to fridge the dough for a little bit. I think I keep checking on the time for those cookies. I think I mixed this up about an hour and a half ago and just put it into the fridge, and just pulled one out now, and it's still kind of, it could be a little colder, but it's not too bad. If it gets too cold, then it's hard to roll. So it's kind of that balance of trying to time it just right. I'm gonna check these real quick and then I'll be right back. Okay, they still have another minute. Important tip while those are finishing up. If you take the dough and divide it between, I did 2 sections. This is wax paper. I laid out 2 sheets of wax paper, half the dough in each, and then I fold the wax paper over and kind of flatten into a disc as I go, and then you put it into the fridge like that. Then when you pull it out of the fridge and you unwrap it, you put it onto your floured surface. It is kind of like ready to roll. You don't have to do a whole lot of rolling pin work. This is my rolling pin. It's old. It's lost the handles and it still works just fine. So it's not very pretty, but it's functional. All right, let me check those again and see what we're doing. Yep, I think they are ready. They're a little soft, but okay, I'm gonna try to show you these. They're Christmas trees. I don't know if you can see those. And you can still see the Christmas tree shape, hopefully, from that angle. I'm using my sink as my hot pad area because the kitchen's not very big, so when you're trying to do 2 different things, it's kind of a little tricky. So anyway, they're fine. Everybody will know if you decorate this that this is a Christmas tree. But I like to have things just so when it comes to cookies. So what I do, after I've used my cookie cutter, this is the one I used for this particular pan, I will wash it up, hot soapy water, get it all cleaned up, and then when I pull these from the oven, I'm just gonna go over and I'm gonna cut into the cookie and pull away the edges of the extras. And then the extras you can either, well, you can eat them, you can toss them out. I have actually made sugar cookie pops before. If you have enough of these, you can crumble them up and then mix them up with the frosting. Instead of a cake pop, it's a cookie pop, but they're a little bit drier and you have to use a lot more frosting. I mean, which is not bad, but it's just not as smooth as a cake pop is going to be. But they're tasty. They're fun. You put some sprinkles on them and they're kind of fun. All right, now you do have to have a little bit of, I don't know how to say this, heat from like cookie sheets and stuff doesn't bother my hands as much anymore because I've been doing this so long. But you do have to be careful. And this is a plastic tipped cookie cutter, as you can see. But if it's metal, the heat comes up through that metal cookie cutter. And forgot my cooling rack and a spatula. I usually try to have everything out right away. So just beware. That's the one tricky thing about this method. Okay, now my cookies are evenly shaped again, and they're just gonna be tricky getting off the pan. But they're good to go, and then I'm just gonna let them finish cooling on the wire rack. This particular size cookie, I think I baked for 7 minutes at 375. I have a bigger cookie cutter here and a smaller one. So you obviously have to just adjust your time a minute or so each way, depending on which cookie you go with. Okay, and the dog is over here because he knows he usually has a sugar cookie bite. You want a sugar cookie? He's a good boy. Yeah, I give the dog sugar cookies. He'll run them off later. Okay, so we got to that point. And then I thought I'd show you real quick. Rolling cookies can always be a little tricky, but I have a bowl of flour here. You want a well-floured surface. And then you're just gonna kind of press the dough down a little bit, and then I flip it, and then kind of dust it around, flip it back again, just to make sure it's well coated with the flour. I know recipes will usually tell you, like, you know, don't incorporate too much flour, but if you don't incorporate a little bit of flour, your cookie dough just sticks to the counter and then it's a big mess, so kind of no way around it. And they turn out fine. They taste fine, so Colby thinks so. All right, so I think I'm gonna actually do the smaller Christmas tree just while I cut those out. And again, I put these on a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. It makes cleanup so much easier. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then while I finish these, I was going to mention one thing. A friend of mine commented, or actually texted me, and she's like, I love your recipes, but is there any way you could write them down? And so I got to thinking about it, and I think I could probably put it in the comments section of the video. So at some point today, I'm gonna practice or try that out and see. It won't be in the immediate, like, next 5 minutes because, you know, tech stuff takes me a while. So I'm gonna just finish rolling these out and get the rest of these into the oven. And then, like I said, I will try to go over a frosting or a couple of frosting recipes the next time I am on the old YouTube. I like to do these with buttercream and then just the little colored sprinkles. And then I do like I'll frost them in green and then do like a little tiny yellow star at the top and then put the sprinkles on. And to me, that just says like, oh, Christmas is here. We've got the decorated trees. So that's my favorite way to do this. They don't, if you're trying to take a platter of them somewhere, they don't stack up really well because of course the buttercream frosting never really sets up like a royal icing or a glaze. But I'll go over all that just so we kind of have some options. All right, I'm gonna finish these and get going on my day. It's a beautiful day, sunny. It's cold, but it's sunny and it's still, so that just helps so much. Everything over here. So I'm gonna go about and enjoy the day a little bit. I probably won't be back tomorrow. Got some stuff going on tomorrow, but I will try to get back soon and maybe show you a couple of these decorated. Oh, which reminds me, the mint fudge is almost all gone, but the peanut butter fudge, which did not go over as well in my house as I thought it would. I mean, I like it, but I ended up cutting those little, the fudge into little squares. I'm sure you can see that. And I just put them in a little, whoops. Have that with coffee later. I ended up just putting these into a little Tupperware, into the freezer, and it can stay in the freezer until, well, until a long time from now if you want. I was gonna mention too, for whatever reason, with fudge when you were storing it, it's better to store it in the freezer or at room temperature. Somehow in the fridge, it's like just that in-between temperature enough where it just gets a little kind of crumbly. So we eat it straight from the freezer. It's really good, super cold. Just careful of your teeth if you have teeth issues. So anyway, I think I covered everything. I had like a little list going that I should have written down, but oh, somebody had asked about maple fudge, and I've never made maple fudge. I think I've had it once before. It is pretty good. So I'm gonna try to look up a recipe for that, and maybe we'll try that too. I've never tried it, and always up for trying something new. So anyway, I hope you have a great day, a great weekend, and we will see you back soon. Thanks. Bye.